Well, CJ's somewhere else, and he got a haircut.
Oh, he did get a haircut. I don't see a mustache in the front there, CJ.
I did not get a haircut. It's just I haven't showered in like a day. I have got my wisdom teeth removed yesterday.
Oh, right.
So now you don't have any wisdom.
No wisdom.
Are you in a place where you will say some things you regret?
I'm not high right now, no.
Okay.
I will be right after this pod, but
All right, great.
not now.
I just wanted to check.
Yeah, thank you.
If so, we could completely pivot to the podcast to playing Truth or Dare with CJ.
You look like a little bit like a European pop star right now, in a good way. I like it. I think it looks good.
They're world renowned.
That's right.
Sure, so that's
right.
a compliment. I'll take that.
Yeah. Another little bit. It is Sunday morning.
Mike,
Daylight saving Sunday morning.
How's your bracket doing? Busted?
Not that busted. I wouldn't say I've done great, but let's make funny because I've done. I like taking upsets. I like taking upsets that I believe in. And I came close on a bunch of them, but they didn't pay off. Like I took Vermont, didn't pay off. Took Chattanooga, didn't pay off. A couple other ones, but they're close. It's been a great 2 days so far. How about you?
I was doing well like the first 5 games, and then it kind of all went downhill after that. Like I was at one point, I was number 1 in my leaderboard at work out of like 20, so I was feeling good. But then I don't even want to check now because I just know it's not good.
That's March, baby.
It is March.
All right. This is March. You ready to go? All right. Here we go. This is March. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and is brought to you by Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. MortgageCS. Become a MortgageCS Ricky VIP by going to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. And Kinetic Skateboarding, get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On the show today, this is March. The Sixers beat the Mavs in their first, I would say, impressive-looking game in a little while. In their very tough stretch is a big win. Ben Simmons doesn't look like he'll play at all this year. Officially, maybe. And then we get to the field of 64 different process things that we'll fill out and then provide you with so you can fill it out at home to determine this year's process thing champion. I'd like to give a ultra big shout out to Kinetic Skateboarding, as I complained the last time we talked about them that I asked Ben to switch my Kinetic hoodie color from black and red to tan and black, and they didn't do it, and he just sent me one anyway. That's the kind of service you get at Kinetic Skateboarding. We are heading into the spring, which in my opinion is hoodie weather. Hoodie weather is 365, but I think the spring is the best. Just a fantastic selection, always updating over there at Kinetic. And sneakers you're not going to find anywhere else. Great stuff. T-shirts, hoodies, all that kind of stuff. Sneakers you won't find anywhere else. And of course, if you're a skateboarder, that's great too. Use promo code 9.1. No, sorry. Use promo code Dave Silver to get 9.1% off your first order at kineticskateboarding.com. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy that knows that this is March. That is one Mike Levin.
Look, I'm having a great time. 2 days in, we watched 12 hours of basketball per day, and then after 12 hours of basketball last night, I watched the Sixers.
There you go.
So a little wind down watching more basketball, but really nice game.
Yes.
Just a really nice game. It's always so much more pleasant for me knowing that they won, which I did when I watched later.
Oh, you watched a recorded version of it.
But,
Right.
Man, just a really nice. I think this is maybe the most, like the fullest version of this team. Maxey didn't really have to do too much, so maybe not on the Maxey side of things. But I feel like everybody else was optimized in ways that you really just even got like 23 points out of the bench, which is nice. But for me, the stretch of the game,
The Harden stretch.
and I'm like melted. I was melting. I was watching it in bed, and then I had to move to the foot of my bed as the Harden stretch started happening. And then once there was like a second step back in a row or a lob to DeAndre, and I just started I melted to the floor. I just became one with the floor. It's over and over again. I was just like, this is why they got him. This is why they got him. This is why they got him. And he just took over, and it's really, really cool and stark to see them grow a lead without Embiid on the court. And in that moment, those 5 minutes of play when Embiid was out, it was the most Harden we've seen. And that it just ruled, man. That was sick. That was really cool.
It does seem like he is at a point we've talked about, whether it's his hamstring that has him slower, if he's just in a point in a career where he's a little bit slower, and that he doesn't seem quite as capable as getting by people, which does make his shot, the three going in, more important. And I think, he hasn't shot particularly well this year overall, and he had a few games with the Sixers where the shot didn't seem like it was falling, especially from outside, but it does show how much more dangerous he is. I know it sounds elementary to say that when you're shooting well, you're going to be more dangerous, but it does, everything sort of falls into place for him better right now when the step back is going down. He does seem, he goes from, he goes to unguardable when that particular thing happens. And I think that, to me, that was the key there. He did have, I don't know if the spring in his step was there. I don't know if there looked too much to be different physically, but the shot going down was a very welcome sight, and I think made a huge difference.
Yeah, I thought it was a good blend, right? Like he's 12 assists involving people, getting to the rim. He didn't seem like he was foul hunting much at all. It just seemed like it was a really good game. I mean, I thought he finished nicely. A couple of floaters that he's optimizing. Once he hits one of those, then the big has to step up, and then there's lobs to DeAndre, who played his best game as a Sixer by a lot. I just thought that was a cool game, and Dallas is a good team. Dallas is a really good team. I thought the zone that the Sixers implemented was interesting, that they seemed to go to for a while.
If you can't beat them, join them, right?
It's just really nice because, Embiid ties his career high with 5 steals, which is strange. It seemed like he would have had a couple more games where he's done more of that, but he gets a lot of steals out of that zone. Had a really nice block helping on Dinwiddie, which is really cool to see. You don't see Embiid helping from behind, not at the, I guess at the rim. I guess it just felt like a different, not a block off the backboard. It felt like a different kind of more Matisse type block from behind. And it's just nice that Embiid had 32 and 8. They kind of didn't even need him in the fourth quarter. He had a couple of ridiculous shots, blah blah blah, etc. But the burden of having to create for this team is so much less now that James Harden is here, that you can see his defensive level rise because he has more energy to do it. And that's really, really huge for this team, because there were times this season when defensively he just looked okay. I mean, on the Embiid scale. And it seems like right now he's incredibly locked in on that end. And offense just comes easy to him because, man, and I was a little bit concerned. Not concerned, but just it's going to be a factor. We all have never seen Joel roll like this.
Yes.
And
true.
He has just, even being talking about him being excited, being man, run some pick and rolls. He could be a short roll guy, whatever. just never became that, even with some, Jimmy or Maxey or whatever other guys who handled the ball well for the team over the course of his career. But now James Harden is here, and for some reason, other teams keep doubling him 30 feet from the basket, and Embiid has just diagnosed it so quickly. He's become a short roll god right away.
Well, he sees the room. He sees it there. Like there's space. There's a pocket for him to go into. He hasn't been a roll guy, but you talk about Butler. Like Butler's not like a great pick and roll ball handler because there's not a lot of gravity to him shooting, and it's the same thing with Maxey. He's never had a real pick and roll playmaker on the perimeter to play with, who's as good at it as Harden is. This is what Harden does, or it's one of the things that he does. So I not to defend Embiid or whatever, but it's not like he was going to run pick and roll with Ben Simmons or something, or whoever had the ball. This is by far the most effective player who's ever had the ball in that situation, who he's played with.
And I think he's good enough and a veteran enough to like get him out of his comfort zone.
Sure.
Which he has admitted as much. And been like hard on him a little bit, I think, which is cool that they both have that relationship. My favorite play was, and it was over and over again, Harden pocket pass to Embiid rolling. There's been a couple times over the last few games when Embiid has caught that pass off a pick and roll and just sort of caught it in stride, and the defense, some poor sap, just stands there, holds his crotch, and takes a charge because Embiid is too big to adjust at that point. He's obviously very agile and stuff, but there's been times when he just caught it too quickly and thought he had a lane and didn't see it. I think that's why he likes, similar to Harden liking to not loving to shoot off the catch. I think Embiid likes to attack off of like his own, like seeing the court off of his own standstill type of thing. So this play, same thing. I think it was Josh Green.
Talk about.
Josh Green was planted right outside the circle, and Embiid like catches it, rolls, stops himself, and he's like, okay. He backs up and he hits a step back three. It was just like, it was cool to see him recognize that they're beating him on this, that they're taking advantage of his size by just sitting there and taking a charge, which is bullshit defense, and it should not be rewarded as often as it is at the college or NBA level. It's just that refs love to make the charge motion and get to run up the court and feel like they're a big star. So I would like that to happen less, but whatever.
I thought
on that play, getting to see him do that and figure it out, and just be like, no, you're not going to do this to me very often. And it's probably going to happen over the course of the season a couple more times, but it's cool to see him, like, his brain just works so fast and is so connected to his body in a way that I just don't think anyone his size has ever been. For him to be that smart and that agile and that able to like make it work that quickly, he's just an incredible player. And it's been awesome to see him keep improving in different ways.
I thought there was another pick and roll he ran with Harden, and he got the ball in the lane and ended up passing it, I think, to Thibault, who had a wide open dunk. It was either Tobias. or Thibault.
Tobias.
Yeah, and it was another instance, a similar instance of him not doing the obvious thing that comes out of that motion and sort of diagnosing what was there and them getting a couple points out of it. It was a really good game. It was a refreshing game, I think we could say, even with the win over Orlando was not thrilling. And then even, what was the last game? I can't even remember the last one we talked about. Who did they beat? They beat, what was the last game?
There's no way to tell.
Come on, CJ.
The Cavs.
The Cavs. Right. It didn't feel as good. But this one felt good. And as somebody who did watch it live, telling you mentioned how much nicer it is, that they won. The first quarter of this, just the first half of the first quarter, didn't feel great without knowing what happened. But knowing what happened, I imagine you can put it in its proper perspective. There is no bigger gap in an NBA player between how they look in highlights and how they look when you watch a whole game than fucking Luka Doncic. I'm just, when you
Oh, he
watch
just didn't play well.
Yeah, when you watch a whole game of him, he looks so fucking slow. He's so slow. He's so slow.
And he's really good despite the fact that he's slow.
He is like, he goes into this, and it wouldn't be unfair to mention Harden, at least in this universe. But one of the things with Iverson, when people talked about him not getting any help, is that he didn't really want a ton of help on offense. That the world had to be based around him. You look at how Dallas is playing well, and you look at the rest of their lineup, and they're obviously not going to win a championship with that lineup because he cannot do all of those things. But you wonder how he would perform with a lineup who had another player who needed possessions. I don't know. I think he's fucking...
They have been really good lately, and Dinwiddie's been incredible for them lately, and Jalen Brunson's a good player. They need those kinds of extra ball handlers because teams blitz Harden so often, or Doncic so often, to get the ball out of his hands. And they've looked a lot better without Porzingis, clogging things up. But I thought the Sixers defense really limited him. I thought Matisse was excellent. It's really, obviously, they are such a different team when his offense is a threat. It's pretty reductively stated by the fact that they're 9-0, 10-0 when he scores in double figures.
Yeah.
Which is, yes, absolutely. Dallas pretty much ignored him. Matisse hit a couple open threes. Harden was talking him up in the post game, being like, I see him work. I'm probably overconfident in his outside shot because I see him work so much. I want him to take it. He said, there was a nice quote from Harden saying, he works so hard on the defensive end, he deserves a couple offensive moments also. And it's just nice to hear him say that. And I thought Matisse was great on Luka during the time he had, a couple annoying fouls, but I thought he did a really good job. I thought Tobias did a really good job defensively on ball when he got switched onto Harden here and there. The zone just I think helped everybody. I think Harden's been great on defense. I'm going to keep saying it. He's been great on defense. He's active hands, making things happen. A couple blocks, coming from behind, poking the ball out. He's engaged. And it's are we going to see the Harden that's not engaged at some point the rest of the season? Maybe not. Maybe that's a next season thing. But he is capable of doing it. And when he's on a team that he feels like is all in, which he didn't feel Brooklyn was with the Kyrie situation, then he's much less of a liability than I think he is a full step up from Seth Curry as a defender. I don't think it's close. He can obviously be worse, but thus far he has been significantly better, and in the playoffs he'll be better as well.
I want to make a comment about that defense thing you said in a second. Right after I talk about our sponsor, Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Law firm specializing in personal injury, has done it for 4 decades now. Based out of Jenkintown, but offices everywhere. The 2 Kornblaus primary right now are Adam Kornblau, our guy, and his mom. His parents started the law firm. And I said that they are a personal injury law firm, but if you are a Ricky listener, Adam will give you advice on pretty much anything. He helps people get out of their fucking lease, unemployment insurance, all of those sorts of things. Kornblau helps you out with. He is dedicated to the cause. He is. When you hear or read about personal injury law firms, you call up that number. They're just going to farm you out to somebody else. They're just a referral service, not Kornblau. This guy is going to take care of you. He has taken care of so many of our listeners, and they all say the same thing. He is responsive, he is informative, and he is a good person, and he's good at what he does. And that is all important. If you've been hurt in any sort of accident, slip and fall, injured at work, car accident, that don't be a hero. It doesn't make you a tough guy. It doesn't make you a tough woman. If you just march your way through it. If it's somebody else is at fault, the Kornblau will find out, will lead you through it. If you think you might have a case, it doesn't cost you anything up front, nothing. 215-576-7200, ask for Adam. You're going to get him, I promise you, or email kornblau@kornblau.com. KORNBLAU. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. You probably remember this moment, Mike. We're talking about defense and effort. Years ago, when Iguodala and Lou Williams were on the team, and there was an interview with Iguodala somewhere, and he basically said about Lou Williams, he has the physical ability to be a good defender. He just doesn't try hard. and
I
like,
don't remember this actually.
oh, you don't? I will find, there's Rebel, because the mailman's here. I will find the article somewhere, and it became a minor controversy, only minor because nobody gave a fuck about that team.
Everything was minor back then.
Yeah, but Iguodala said that. He said that so much of defense, I know it sounds, obvious, but so much of defense is effort. There are some players who obviously have physical disadvantages to being good defenders, but so much of it is concentrating on, doing the homework and then physically trying. And Harden is certainly capable of doing it. A lot of his bad reputation defensively has probably come because he had to carry so much of a load offensively that he just didn't try. I mean, there are plenty of videos of him not trying defensively, but he's certainly capable. He has to be capable, Now, Seth is one guy who physically is just limited in a way that he maybe never could become competent, but I don't think Harden is that same thing.
No, and I think there's something about I never really saw this with Lou. I do think he's limited, and as he got older, definitely pretty slow laterally. Mm-hmm. And Harden is as well. But there's a preternatural ability to just know what's going to happen, and he's big enough to absorb contact. He's not that fast laterally anymore, obviously. His effort level comes and goes, but just having quick hands and the ability to be really smart on the basketball court, you get a big leg up on defense if you're trying. And in the same way that you just said there's clips, of Luka looking good on offense. There's clips of Harden looking horrendous on defense. You can cut together those things, and they do. And then there's the same thing with LeBron, although LeBron has been doing that a lot more this season, and he doesn't look good, like he gives a fuck at all. But in big moments, I'm comfortable with Harden on the court defensively because of his knack for the ball and his quick hands, and that the fact that he has seemed to give a shit, and that's why the defense hasn't been, most of it is Embiid, but they're now their starting five is now one elite defender, one somewhat inconsistently elite defender, or just in a strange way, and then three guys that can get there. And I think it's nice to throw in his zone, mix it in, and it did look good last night, and they did get some tough shots, force some tough shots out of it. But the bench is still an issue, but I think you feel really good when the starting lineup's on the court on both ends.
The quote came from 2012, by the way, from Iguodala. I found it, Lou Williams. It's basically an article about Iguodala playing defense, but he says, "It makes no sense to me why so many good scorers can't defend," Iguodala says. Like Lou Williams. He's one of the toughest guys to guard in the league, but he can't guard anybody. I don't get that. When they were on the same team, this happened.
That's interesting. I wonder what would have to say about that now, Andre.
And it was another game that I will once again give Tobias Harris credit for, as he has kept up his quick shooting. Mm-hmm. He knows he has to do it. He looks a little more comfortable doing it. He's doing it more quickly and making them. And look, he's never going to be exactly the player that will fit there. But for the rest of the year, at least as he is on this team, he's going to have to do that to fit in. And he's doing it. I have to give him credit for that.
Absolutely. I mean, he's looking we talked about Harrison Barnes a lot this season, but he's looking like the Harrison Barnes that we would expect would look better in this position. He was in foul trouble last night, only played 24 minutes, but moves the ball quick, isn't overthinking it, looks like he has to pee in a good way. All that stuff is good. And it's good to see Niang hit shots. Yeah. 4 of 7 from deep. Doc had a good quote after the game saying George was bad the past few games and he kept shooting. And it's good for our young guys to see that George is a good shooter. That is what he's here to do. And if he misses shots, but you got to keep shooting. And he said, I like the idea that it's good for the young guys to see that, because it is. And it was huge tonight. He was plus 11, led the team.
Anything else on this game? Because we do have a full bracket to get through of process things. So I don't know.
I just thought it was really a great game. Top to bottom. I thought it was really nice. I'm worried about the bench outside of Niang, obviously the backup center, but like
there was proof that Cork is alive at the very end of the game, which was nice.
He's alive, but like now Shake is in a place where he touches the ball, but like doesn't actually record a stat. Like maybe that's just what it's like to play with Harden and Embiid and now Maxey and then Tobias whenever those guys aren't on the court, and you're just like maybe there's just not enough to go around unless you're catching and shooting. And Shake is obviously has had a track record of being a good shooter, although the quickness of the shot comes and goes. I would love to find ways for him to contribute over the next couple weeks because they're one guy short. They're one decent guy short, and Shake does have length, and his defense has improved, and they're just one guy short, and it'd be nice if it was him.
The Ricky playoff shirt is available now. You're going to want to order it quickly so you can have it for the playoffs. It is the not a regular season bitch playoff motherfucker t-shirt. There is a clean version too if you're going to be around children or you want to wear it to work. Right there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. Just go to rightstoRickySanchez.com, click on the t-shirt store thing. There's clean and dirty versions. The hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week. This comes from Alter Ego 877. We did get a bunch of response on this, even though it was toward the end of the pod. The Clippers conversation, but not the team, the Clippers, but the wall Clippers. This comes from Alter Ego 877. What's more expected, Mike not shaving his armpits for like a decade, or a timeline where Bassie gets playoff minutes?
Very strange. It's not. I don't care. I'll show it off. It's nothing. Here it is. There's nothing. Clean. It's a regular man's armpit. I'm not an overly hairy man. It's fine. I don't know, man. I don't know what these guys are doing out here in these streets. Fucking shaving every day, prickly armpits. You don't need it.
Well, I mean,
unless you're a person with exceptionally. I know the guys that have like a big hairy back. Like you got to do what you got to do. You got to maintain. Mm-hmm. But for people that are just like keep it regular, stays regular.
So just never have not. You said the last time was when you were like 16 or so.
Probably, yeah, never.
Wow. Whatever. I mean, there was a lot of reaction to it. That's all I'm saying. There was just a lot of reaction to it. So
look inwardly, reactionaries.
I put together, excuse me, like the seating, and we will put this, if you're listening to this if you're not watching live and you're listening to this on the pod, if you go into the pod notes, there will be a link to download a PDF of the process things field of 64. Now, came up with 64 different process things. These are not greatest moments. They are people, places, things that seem to have only happened to us. And Mike, we will go through them. And, I'm not going to tell you have to pick which one's better. I think you just have to pick the winner that is more appropriate. Does that make sense?
Sure. The link in the rundown doesn't work, but I can listen.
Oh, it doesn't.
There it is. I'm looking at it from CJ.
There we go. Yeah. If you're watching, or if you'd like to follow along as we watch now,
number one is spelled wrong.
Yeah, well, the first problem is that CJ's thing does not go in the same order that mine does. So we will just go on CJ's. It's fine. It's fine, CJ. It's fine. You
full 1 to 64. This bracket is a bootleg bracket.
Well, it isn't on the one that people are downloading. There are actual seeds. There are correct seeds. He asked me, but in fairness to CJ, he asked me if the seeding mattered. I said it doesn't, as I didn't think very deeply about it. So he did it this way, and this way works better on the screen. But when you download it, you will have actual field of 64.
CJ's too young to even know who Andrzej Pasechnik is.
Okay.
And we never really figured out how to say his name.
So the first matchup is Andrzej Pasechnik or the kids that fixed Tony Roten's cell phone who replied to him on Twitter.
Give me the 64 seed. Tony Roten's cell phone.
Roten's cell. Oh, you're going to have to do this every time? All right. Okay, that works. The second matchup, B-Ball Paul or Point Jakar?
Got to go Point Jakar. Love B-Ball, but we got to respect our history.
Okay. The next matchup, Paul Millsap is a Sixer or the pick swap?
Pick swapping, of course. We're talking process. So I'm absolutely going to defer to the past more than the present.
Okay, the next matchup, Hinkie's resignation letter or the brochures going out with "This starts now" after MCW had already been traded.
Oh, that's a really tough one. That's a really tough one. This is the best matchup so far. I have to go with the brochures. I have to go with the season tickets.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that you did that. A quick pause. One of our newest sponsors, MortgageCS. You probably heard this week, interest rates are going to go up a little bit through the next year. That will directly affect mortgage rates, and you need a mortgage broker, an independent mortgage broker who is small, nimble, but knows what the fuck they're talking about to help you through this process. MortgageCS. Go to mortgageks.com/Ricky. That way you can schedule a conversation with Ben, who is the CEO, and they can give you all the huge top level stuff of why they're good at what they do. Mostly they care about you. They're not connected to a bank. They're not the lender themselves. What a mortgage broker does is they go to the banks and they find the best rate for you. But so many of them have like these secret side deals with the banks. MortgageCS does not. They are completely independent. We got a great email. I just wanted to write in with an amazing review of MortgageCS. I actually called them the day I first heard the ad on the Ricky, as my girlfriend and I were in the midst of looking for a house. Of the 3 mortgage brokers I called, MortgageCS was the last and also the best. When I called the other brokers, I got their voicemail. They just sent me an email in response. I never even heard their voices. When I called Ben, he picked up the phone the first time I called him, jumped right into getting us pre-qualified, looped in his business partner and COO of MortgageCS, Alec, who got us pre-approved the same day. He even got on a screen share with me and walked me through the entire system, so I really understood every aspect of the mortgage process, which can be incredibly confusing and complicated. Then the email goes on to say through the entire process, there were times at night where they needed a pre-qualification letter. MortgageCS was right on it. You can call or text the CEO, Ben, anytime, 267-391-7425. That's 267-391-7425. They're not just there to help you get the best rate. They're there to help you learn about the process of getting a mortgage, which is really a fucking lot. And you need someone good in your corner. MortgageCS.com/Ricky to schedule an appointment by phone or call or text their CEO, Ben, at any time, 267-391-7425. Anytime. 267-391-7425. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. MortgageCS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker and arranges loans with third-party providers and does not make any mortgage loans commitments or fund any mortgage loans. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. The information is presented for informational purposes by Rates for Us, LLC, DBA MortgageCS Company, NMLS 1464766, licensed by the PA Department of Banking and New Jersey Department of Banking and Insurance. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information. Ben Stucker, NMLS ID number 168345. Here we go. Back to the bracket. The next one is the Philly Pledge, which was Ben Simmons' sort of fake website to help people during the pandemic, which only included a link to Phil Abundance, basically, or Choo Choo Manuabom.
I mean, we got to go Choo Choo. Come on.
Yes. Appeared at the final lottery party.
That's right.
Was
Huge
fucking
guest.
thrilled to do it. Next matchup. The flight that never happened to go see Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid's tweets.
Just in general, Embiid's
Yes.
tweets? Before we started playing, or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Some iconic tweets in there. I'm going to go Embiid.
Okay. I do like the story of them wanting to fly to see Ben.
Good story.
And it never happening. Next one, Pierre Jackson, just as a concept, or the Kawhi shot.
It's a tough nail biter.
We talked so much about Pierre Jackson.
For sure,
being
Pappy
good.
Jack.
Yeah,
Basically,
Pappy Jack was like a thing.
I love Pierre, but I'm going to go with the Kawhi shot. There was it's the
Okay.
Kawhi shot.
Pappy Jack was like 4 years of our shit. The next one is torn meniscus or the second Ish Smith trade.
In general, meniscuses.
Yes.
I'm gonna go meniscuses. The first Ish Smith trade, big deal.
Yep. The second one, obviously forced by Jerry Colangelo,
Yeah.
2 second-round picks. The second one, Nerlens Noel's dirty apartment or retweet Armageddon.
Yeah, there for people that weren't around, the apartment was like it was like he was renting, and they said there was like shit everywhere and like weed everywhere,
Literal
and never
shit,
cleaned up and
I
that
think.
kind of stuff.
I think
but,
there's literal poop.
but we gotta go research when we get in here.
Yeah. Excuse me. All right, the next one. This is for the real ones. Hoops critic or Mike doing the podcast in the dark.
Oh, hoops critic usually by a lot.
It's so funny to see these people who were actual real threads through everything for a while. The next one, Danny Granger or Clumpy Flumping.
Ooh, Danny was interesting. Never played a game for the Sixers, if I recall correctly.
He did not.
But give me Clumpy, and I do spell Clumpy with a K, but that's fine.
Okay,
I understand. I'll allow that there's some translation variance in what it could be spelled as.
That one. The next one, Elton Brand, former Sixer, becomes GM, or Chris Humphries' preseason run as a Sixer.
Yeah, Chris Humphries did play for the Sixers.
2017.
I'm gonna go Elton. I'll go Elton on that one. It's wild to be play for and be in charge of the process.
Yeah. The Elton Brand becoming the GM, I think, is something that we'll never quite get a handle on how amazing it was.
There's a lot of those.
The next one, Markelle Fultz's jump shot, or, quote, literally Jimmy.
Got to be Fultz.
Okay.
Literally Jimmy was at the time a nice moment of like, oh, this is funny, this is my name. But it was like, oh, later on it was like, oh, he probably was upset about that. Him and Brett didn't like each other.
Next one, Mike Muscala's big shot, or Jared Bayless being booed in his return game with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
A pretty fair matchup, but I'm going to go with Muscala. I don't know if Unterberger would feel differently, but it's an easy answer for me.
I feel like the Muscala shot has a real chance to go all the way, depending on what the matchups are. The next one is Brett Brown's accent versus Russell Westbrook getting the double finger from that guy.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Give me Brett because the Westbrook stuff. There's some negativity involved after that when the popcorn stuff and all that. So I think it is looped into something not as good.
Our next matchup is Vegan Ja versus the Portland Furkan Korkmaz game winner.
I remember that. I was dog sitting for Alyssa's friend, watching it at her apartment. And that dog is now dead, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Vegan Ja.
All right. And didn't they go?
Because it was like it was going to change everything. He's like, I'm vegan now. Here we go. And he's still bad.
Didn't the Furk shot? The Furk shot, I think, took them to 4-0. I think at that point, because that was the Horford year, and I think we were really feeling ourselves at that moment. The next one, Carl Landry MVP chance, or Jahlil Okafor fights Boston fans in the streets.
Is like San Francisco and Murray State should not have had to play in the first round, and these people should not have had to play in the first round. Landry's nice. Is an interesting, like a great story, but I think for the appropriateness of all process everything, you got to go Okafor fight.
Yeah, it changed everything. It's possible it changed everything. Mm-hmm. The next one, Corey Brewer's 10-day or the Color Star saga.
That's tough. Those were 10 eventful days. I believe that there was a second 10-day in there, but it felt like him
getting in Harden's grill. I mean, there was a lot.
That was very funny. He's so bendy. Is such a strange. He came here like he was always kind of an odd player, but he really heightened his oddities in those week or two. But you got to go Color Star. Apologies
really?
to Corey Brewer.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Color Star is a prime process thing to happen several years later.
The thing that I liked, the thing that I think about why Brewer was the way he was, is that you get a 10-day, and as some players will prove, if you don't really become a squeaky wheel, you won't get a second 10-day. So Corey Brewer was trying to be the most Corey Brewer he could be to try to make his mark, to stick around.
Yeah.
And for 5 years, it was the only piece of Sixers garb I bought as a matter of protest after the Hinkie thing was a Corey Brewer jersey, which I still own.
For sure. I mean, 10 days is not that much time to impact people, but, I went to Birthright when I was 18, and those were 10 days, and I'll never forget them. So I'll never forget Corey Brewer just the same.
The next one was Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III take too long to get to the Sixers, or those guys shaking hands after the Sixers picked, what's his name, in the second round. It was the Okafor draft.
KJ? No, Tokudo?
No. It was a guy that never even played for us. It was, he's got a brother. Fuck. Nobody had ever heard of him. That's why it was so funny that they were shaking hands. Fuck, somebody say it in the comments.
Either way, I'll go Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson. That's it has spawned a number of jokes, and it really did take a very long time, and has become a thread that like other teams get their free agents or trade deadline players very quickly, and ours take, at least a week and a half every time.
The thing I liked about that moment is it was Willie Hernan-Gomez.
That's
right. It was when they picked Willie Hernan-Gomez.
Who's been a professional basketball player for quite a long time.
Is that it made the announcers laugh, and it was like a great moment because that was when the T-shirt was there. It was a big moment. Anyway, the Greg Monroe game, or Robert Covington falls on something, hurts his back, and we don't see him in the game for like 15 minutes. Nobody really ever said what happened.
Oh yeah, he in the crowd.
Yeah,
Greg Monroe, a disgusting. Okay. Everyone should have been fired at that point.
The next one. Keith Pompey showing the wet court on his fingers, or Tony Roten slapping the hardwood,
which never happened. The idea of Tony Roten slapping the hardwood. I'm gonna go Keith. I'm predisposed to go Keith here, but him holding the picture a hand up with the wet hand is one of the best images that the internet has ever given us.
LeBron visits Malvern Prep, or CJ's Mike Scott Hive tattoo.
LeBron at Malvern. Sorry, CJ.
Okay. You pick the imaginary thing. The next one, the Shake Milton game, or Feds.
Oh my God, Feds. Feds was so bad. They tried to make any nicknaming that had is like, here we go. We're going to call it this. It was bad. And by the way, I really don't like the beard as Harden's nickname. I don't like when McCord says it when he shoots it. It's not good enough of a nickname to not say his name.
The next one, cashed out. The Mike Scott moment, or Keith Pompey's 9/11 tweet.
Oh my God. I really want to go Keith.
You can. Keith
I'll go cashed out. Respect to Mike Scott. Because the Pompey 9/11 tweet really had nothing to do with the Sixers. Not anything whatsoever. It was as far as one of my favorite internet moments of all time, that's up there. But for the process, I don't think we can say that's related. But shout out to Keith, shout out to 9/11. Never forget those alarms.
I like Keith's 9/11 tweets had a chance to me to go the whole way. What a shocking shocking.
Hey, there's
moment.
upsets sometimes.
Next one, TJ game winner, or Colangelo's burners.
I mean, come on. Colangelo, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Ultimate. TJ's game winner was very nice. We played it at TJ's live pod. That was fun. It's cool to see him react to it. But come on.
The next one, the gay parking attendant, or the Furkan Korkmaz trade request.
That's a good matchup.
And it's elderly gay parking attendant. I didn't have room to fit it in.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the gay parking guy, and like Korkmaz making the trade request and being the only one to not get traded is great. But if he was better now, maybe I would have gone that. But the fact that he's been lost for most of the year is tough.
The Ninja headbands, or the Sixers start 3-0 in 2013.
Oh, 3-0, 3-0 for sure.
Are they too good? That's where too good came from.
Too good. They beat Miami. MCW looked incredible. The transition dunk off the steal right away, unbelievable.
I was on the radio after the win after Miami, and I had not prepared to talk about a Sixers thing, and it was a stunner. The next one, Team WAP, or the flight to see Rich Paul's assistant in Los Angeles to woo LeBron in free agency.
Team WAP, come on.
Yeah.
Roten, let's see. Roten, Khalif Wyatt, Vander Blue,
Correct.
Was it MCW?
I can't remember if MCW was the fourth. And WAP is We Handle Our Problems.
I forget who the fourth one was. Someone will say it.
The next one, Zaire's peanut allergy or Reddick's human trafficking.
I got to go Zaire here.
Okay.
I got to go Zaire. I think that that is a level of, I mean, it's hard to blame the Sixers for it, but it's also so easy to do that. So I'm gonna go with that. Where the Reddick trafficking, I mean, it happening for me. The funniest part is him telling it to Mo Bamba. That is the funniest part. Everything else not that funny. Him like being aware of it and not doing anything about it. Maybe not that funny, but it is him telling it to Mo Bamba on his podcast when.
He led the pod with it. It
was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable choice there. And Mo Bamba just like, he's a rookie at that point or second, and he's just like trying to laugh. And he's like, I genuinely don't know what you want from me here.
What's
the
reaction?
I don't know why. You could have had if you wanted to tell the story really funny, you could have done like a pre segment before the interview. It was unbelievable.
And
Poor
Mo Bamba has like that innocent face. Like he's got just sort of like a fun-loving,
for sure,
innocent face. Yeah.
Would love Mo Bamba on the Sixers next year.
But that shot has become real. He's a real shooter now. Mm-hmm. The next one, Ben Simmons jumper or the confetti game.
Again, these guys absolutely have no business being in the first round together. I'm upset about that. You really haven't. There's an argument for both. This is a total toss-up because this is like two deeply strange things. And whereas the shot itself was a journey that we're like convincing ourselves of, the confetti game was one moment. Mm-hmm. And I think I lean slightly towards the moment. The confetti game being such a perfect encapsulation of strange futility. And the fact that it happened from someone that that fans and more so announcers keep bringing up almost a decade later. Ilyasova and Bellinelli. What if they got him? What if they got Ilyasova and Bellinelli? What if we got him now? What if we rolled out their fucking wheelchairs and saw if they could play now? Would that be helpful? So the confetti game.
I maintain I saw from a suite very clearly that it wasn't a three, and I couldn't understand what everybody was thinking. Like, even from the second level, I couldn't.
Remind me, did the ref call it a three?
No.
It was just the confetti guy.
Correct.
Amazing.
Yeah. The next one, Isaiah Cannon's 4-point play against the Warriors, or Nemanja Bjelica reneges on his agreement with the Sixers and signs with somebody else.
Bjelica reneging. Yeah. Absolutely. It was a great time for any minor villain. Mm-hmm. And that is he was such one. And maybe if they face each other in the finals, we can bring it back.
The final first round matchup, Al Horford is a Sixer versus Andrei Kirilenko refuses to be a Sixer, even though he's a Sixer.
I'm going to go Kirilenko again. Horford was it's arguably not a process moment, although like it's certainly on the idea of futility for sure. Okay. I feel like we should do one round at a time. Do the next round.
I really think we should. You think?
All the way? 32 more matchups?
It'll go quick.
Okay.
I think we should. We got about 20 minutes left of the podcast, 15 minutes. I think we can get through it.
Here we go.
All right. Hold on. LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Do you know, I don't know how many engagement rings have been purchased by Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners from LL. I think it's around 250. LL, could you text me 75 or 80 times and let me know? I actually don't know what the number is. I was explaining to my barber today how we ended up selling advertising on Rights to Ricky Sanchez. And I mentioned LL was the first guy to insist on it. And we refused for a long time. And he became our original sponsor. And he believed in us before anybody else did. LL Pavorsky Jewelers has been at 707 Walnut for over 30 years. You don't like have a business that long without being really good at what you do. He's not great at Twitter, but he is great at being a jeweler. No pressure, great person, great jewelry, has taken care of literally every person who has gone there. We've gotten a great email. Even Mike has purchased his engagement ring for his fiancée, Alyssa, from LL Pavorsky Jewelers. So many One of Val's cousins got an engagement ring from LL Pavorsky. Just the absolute best. The best way to get an engagement ring from LL is to make an appointment so he can give you the proper time and the proper attention. Very little pressure. No pressure. Well, not none. A little bit of pressure. 215-627-2252. Lee at llpavorsky.com or tweet at him at LL Pavorsky. Lee also a generous donor to our charities whenever we tell him to. Coded by Kids or Providence Animal Center. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
One shining moment was actually written about LL's jewels.
Back to the field of 64. Round 2. Roten Cell getting fixed by 2 Twitter guys who didn't actually know how to fix cell phones or point Chakar.
The cell phone. Absolutely. Posted it on Twitter. They came over. They play video games. That could go far. The 64 seed could go far.
The pick swap versus the This Starts Now brochure.
Torturous matchup. Really hard for me. Love both. I'm trying to find a good mix of like good, like
great moments.
Positive
Yeah.
and negative because it was equal parts of both at times over the last several years.
Can I give just a bit of context here? This pamphlet going out after MCW getting traded was one of the huge nuggets of Scott O'Neill turning on Sam Hinkie and in turn, Sam Hinkie not being the president of basketball operations for the Sixers anymore. This is a momentous moment, as funny as it was.
I love the pick swap.
Yeah.
I love them. They really kept me going for a number of years there, and I'm going to go with the pamphlets.
Wow! And the pick swap actually happened, not just the idea of the pick swap.
Yeah,
wow.
It did happen. And
enormous.
They used it to get faults.
Choo-Choo Maduabom versus Joel Embiid's tweets.
The tweets. Sorry, Choo-Choo. Hell of a run.
Yeah. Next matchup. Torn meniscus versus the Kawhi shot.
Kawhi.
What an appropriate matchup.
Yeah, it feels,
Kawhi.
two negative, very negative, upsetting things that I think about a lot. So many guys. There was like several years of just like, and meniscus is torn. It was just like, welcome to the Sixers. Let me get the doctor gets your knife out and just starts slicing meniscuses. Here you go,
tearing it for you.
There you go.
All right, next one: retweet Armageddon or Hoops Critic.
Sorry to Hoops Critic. What a figure he was for a while. But you got to go retweet Armageddon because we are both the heroes and villains of that story, and that's ultimately what you want it to be.
The next matchup. Clumpy Flumping versus Elton Brand becomes the general manager of the Sixers.
Clumpy
Still,
Flumping
by the way,
is the name for what Dario used to do in the post, sort of trudge his way to the basket with a series of odd spins and dribbles. But you got to go Brand, Elton.
The next matchup. Markelle Fultz's shot versus the Mike Muscala shot.
Wow. And this is poignant in a fun way.
Well, especially because Fultz got traded for that pick.
Fultz got traded for the pick that thanks to Mike Muscala, became Tyrese Maxey. So this is tough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Fultz's shot because Muscala, just process wise, it's more relevant.
Yeah.
But the Muscala shot, I love and appreciate, and we'll think about forever.
Another, I believe, an upset. Next one, Brett Brown's accent versus Vegan Ja.
Give me Brett. Give me Brett's accent.
The next matchup, the Color Star Saga versus Joel Embiid fights Boston Celtics fans in the streets.
Could you imagine if Okafor was like a...
Did I say Joel Embiid? I meant Jahlil Okafor. I don't know if I said Joel Embiid.
Could you imagine if Okafor was a like great player for us? Mm-hmm. And how thrilled we would be by him getting into a fight. Maybe not thrilled, but maybe like years later be like, that fucking ruled, man. He fought for Celtics. That would have been cool instead of being like, oh God, they talked about how bad he was.
It would be part of his legend.
Right.
The speeding on the Walt Whitman or Ben Franklin would have been also part of his legend.
Yeah, he was going like 108 of the gun, like not good. Give me Color Star. Sorry to Jahlil.
I don't think he had a gun. I think you were combining another rumor when he got a gun pulled on him in Old City.
That's right. My bad.
Yeah.
My fault.
I just want to clear his name.
That is right. Because all three of those things happened so quickly. Yes. And so you couldn't like find which one was the thing. It was like all of a sudden like, here's everything that's going on.
Yeah. Next one. Alec Burks and GR3 take forever to get to the Sixers, or the Greg Monroe game, which of course is the Sixers playoff game versus the Nets that they won with Greg Monroe starting at center.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought you were talking. I thought the Greg Monroe game meant like games when they had to start Greg Monroe in the playoffs because their backups
But that's what that
were
was.
so bad. Well, I was thinking more of a negative, not the one that they won. But
I was thinking of the one. Okay,
I'll go with Burks and GR3. But
Okay.
they're going to be a quick out from some of these other heavy hitters.
Okay. The next matchup, Pompey shows everyone that the court is wet versus LeBron visits Malvern.
Keith advancing.
Whoa!
Keith beats LeBron.
Wow.
Absolutely.
It's stunning that it is the wet court Keith and not 9/11. The next, Feds versus Cashed Out.
The Fed's nickname really was horrendous. It was
the
horrendous.
worst.
But Cashed Out spawned a new generation of Sixers fans, and we love Mike Scott, so we're going to go Mike Scott.
I believe we were anti-Feds from the beginning. I don't think we ever supported
There's no
Feds.
choice but not to be.
The next, the elderly gay parking attendant.
Wow.
Michelangelo's burner. What are the odds this would face each other? It's
Arguably,
like Inception.
Yeah, family on family crime here. Creighton and San Diego State, two brothers played against each other 2 days ago. This is what that is. Obviously, the gay parking attendant was created by who I believe is Jerry Colangelo running those accounts.
Okay.
Not the Twitter accounts, but the other random forum things. But whatever. I will broaden it for Colangelo Burner and let gay parking attendant sort of be acquired by Colangelo Burner.
Okay, all
in
right.
this field.
Gets stronger even by
That's right.
acquiring the gay parking
That's right.
attendant. The next one, Team WAP or Sixers go 3-0.
3-0.
Okay. Zaire allergy versus confetti game.
Brutal matchup. Give me Zaire. They almost killed him. they almost killed him.
Whoops. Next one.
Wow.
Nemanja Bjelica leaves to join the Kings, or well, what are the odds these things face
A
each
very
other?
fair, very even matchup here.
Or the Sixers trade for Andrei Kirilenko, and he refuses to come back from Russia to play for the Sixers.
I'm gonna go with Kirilenko because I think it became a bigger deal.
Yeah.
It really was arguably a last straw for some people that like he won't even play there.
Yep.
He'd rather take care of his sick wife. What a principled stand. The Sixers just can't handle it.
Also, there is he had believed he had an agreement with the Sixers. I think that was part of this story too. Mm-hmm. The next one, here we go to the next round. The two Twitter users tell Tony Roten they know how to fix cell phones. They go to his apartment and fix his cell phone, or the This Starts Now brochure.
This is the Sweet 16, and we gotta advance the brochures. I love the cell phone. It was a great moment. Really, really a low key moment in process lore. But yeah.
If for those who are listening, what happened was Tony Roten asked on Twitter who knew how to fix cell phones. Two Ricky listeners told him they knew how to fix cell phones and that they would do it. They didn't know how. Before going to Tony Roten's house, they looked at a YouTube video of how to do it, and then they went to his house and fixed his cell phone. Amazing. The next one, Joel Embiid's tweets or the Kawhi shot.
That's tough because the tweets really did define him, especially in those first 2 years. Like he went after Rihanna. I said went after like it's negative, but he tried to, he tweeted about Rihanna in an acceptable way, not in a too creepy way.
No, I thought he was being funny enough.
Yeah, he's, your plus minus was ass.
Yeah.
Like, to various other centers around the league, really.
Andre Drummond, I mean, he obliterated him.
Drummond, Whiteside. Even the he had the Eric Jr. tweet. After
Retweet Armageddon.
Colangelo, retweet Armageddon at your dad.
Spelled it wrong.
Which is fine. But I'm gonna go with the Kawhi shot. I think you have to savor the moments that are as painful as they could be, because the Kawhi shot will be in the Sixers version of one shining moment when they eventually win a championship, and that'll be nice.
Retweet Armageddon versus Elton Brand becomes general manager.
Oh wow. I'm gonna go retweet Armageddon. I think that's a bigger part of it.
Yeah.
Elton becoming GM is insane. He's done a fine job. He took some swings. I love him for it, and he played for the Sixers when he was just begged to come back and like babysit. But Reach Armageddon, we really hoisted ourselves up in a really fun, unforgettable way.
We trended nationally, and then we paid for it. The next one, Markelle Fultz's jumper or Brett Brown's accent?
Markelle.
Yep. I think that is fair. The Color Star Saga versus Alec Burks and GR3 traveling to Philadelphia.
Sir Lucas advances again.
Wow. That is huge for such a new thing. Okay.
And honestly, it was hard to even like, it felt like this should have happened 5 years ago when we did it.
The next one, Keith Pompey shows everyone that the court is wet or cash down.
Keith, in an upset, keeps going.
Oh!
He keeps rolling.
Oh my God.
How does he do it? So this is the Elite Eight. The Elite Eight.
It is. The Colangelo Burners versus 3-0 in 2013.
The 3-0 was really great and so unexpected.
The Bulls, I think, was the third game, right?
Yeah, I think it was Washington, Chicago, and Miami. And it really felt like we could do the process and also win.
Yes.
Every
We
game.
Figured it out.
And there was a lot of fun in that, but it pales in comparison to the Colangelo Burner.
Okay. The next one. The next matchup. The Zaire peanut allergy versus, and almost dies, versus Andrei Kirilenko refuses to play for the Sixers and stays in Russia to take care of his sick wife.
I'm gonna go Zaire. Kirilenko had a nice run, but them almost murdering their first round draft pick, who they traded up to acquire.
Okay,
It's tough.
Are
we in the Elite Eight right now? Can we look at the Elite Eight just really quickly?
Can you back up, CJ? So the Elite Eight is the Kawhi shot, the This Starts Now brochure, Retweet Armageddon, Fultz's shot, the Color Star Saga, Pompeii Wet Court, and Colangelo's Burner, and Zaire Smith allergy.
This is good.
Yes. Here we go.
Arguably, Bynum should have been on there, but I understand that he wasn't.
He's pre-process officially.
Pre-process, but some of these are post-process, so we play a little fast and loose with it. I think rightfully so. We can go with what we want.
Next one, This Starts Now brochure versus the Kawhi shot.
This is very difficult. This is a very difficult thing.
You could make the argument that like it's a beginning point and an end point of something. These two things, like it's an era encapsulated within an era, an era.
It's tough because I believe the Kawhi shot is the last on-court thing of the list. I guess aside from Keith's wet hands, which was genuinely the most on-court thing. So that's fair.
Had to do with the court, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Kawhi shot, and this is hard to do. This is a really tough. This is a tough matchup, and the Brochures really had a hell of a run, and in another year they could have won, but the Kawhi shot was, life. That is a life moment.
The next one, Markelle Fultz's shot versus Retweet Armageddon. By the way, you could make the argument that one caused the other.
That's right.
Here, because
we did. Yeah, we did break Markelle's shot.
Yeah.
Retweet Armageddon. You think he was aware of Retweet Armageddon?
No.
Probably not. No.
Retweet Armageddon happened when the trade for the number one pick was consummated, as the Retweet Armageddon Congress voted. Correct.
I'm going to go Retweet Armageddon. I think it really more fully encapsulated the world in which we occupy.
Honestly, Embiid doing Retweet Armageddon to my dad is a moment that I don't even think that does the tweet still exist? It might. There was another tweet about my dad that he took down that involved me. Right. I think the Retweet Armageddon is amazing that he participated. The next one, the Color Star Saga versus Keith Pompey shows everyone that the court is wet because of the ice underneath.
This is really tough. Because I will say, as much as the Color Star Saga was great for a moment, and having CJ do the PowerPoint and George Clooney's investigative war general taker downer, getting him on here to describe a lot of stuff I understood, was cool. It didn't escalate to something really, like we found out that he wasn't a real, and then he was talking about it. Kind of fizzled. It was a little bit of a fizzled.
Well, they broke off the
deal, and then it's we're in the metaverse and we're at the coffee shop and all that stuff. But it wasn't too much. I don't know. A little bit of a hot start. Fizzle ending. So I'm gonna go with Keith. I'm gonna go Keith Wetcourt. Just that's what it's all about, man.
Him being in the Final Four, that being in the Final Four is so good. Great choice.
George Mason makes a run, so does Keith in his hand.
I would argue that we made the Sixers get rid of that partnership. Like, that was obviously Defector has a part in that, of course. I don't want to, but our part was definitely bigger, I think. The next one, the Colangelo Burners versus Zaire Smith's peanut allergy.
We got to go Colangelo. Zaire. If his Zaire had died, maybe it'd be a different story. Maybe die next time, Zaire, if you want to make the Final Four.
By the way, just shows how many people have come to us recently. Jeff in the chat asked what Retweet Armageddon is, which just Google it. There's plenty of, but it is amazing. There are a lot of people that weren't even there for that. The next one, in the Final Four, the Kawhi shot versus Retweet Armageddon.
This is tough. It's tough to do. And I'm thinking about this stuff on the fly, but I think Retweet Armageddon, as Jeff's comment indicated, was a little more insular.
Yes.
And at the time than
Kawhi shot.
Something that deserves to make the championship game. So I'm going to go with the Kawhi shot, as much as Retweet Armageddon was great. And sometimes insular is good. And sometimes we love the esoteric references, a part of the process, but we're deep into the tournament here, so we got to go there.
And to figure out who gets to the championship game, it is Keith Pompey's visual representation of the wet court or Brian Colangelo's burner account.
What a matchup for the ages. Honestly, this game goes into quadruple overtime.
All-timer.
And sadly, Keith's Cinderella hand ends here. So we'll have Colangelo advance to the finals. The final game. Okay. Well, here we go. The final game of the process thing field of 64. It is the Kawhi shot versus Colangelo's burners. What a visual manifestation of what we've been through, right, for the last 10 years in this world, on this podcast, with this team, and all the ups and downs. But there is nothing that could have possibly happened to tie everything together more than the GM operating several burner accounts to talk up his own accomplishments, trash one of his star players, and boost up the other one. Who, by the way, just ended up being Ben Simmons. And talk about his predecessors at various places, and also make a very iconic comment about the collars of his shirt. So to me, it's not a question. Wow. A storybook run for Brian Colangelo's burner accounts and that gay parking attendant. Yes. Congratulations to Brian Colangelo and the gay parking attendant, elderly gay parking attendant. Brian Colangelo's burners win the process thing field of 64. If you go into the notes
of this podcast. We'll also post it on social. You'll be able to get your own bracket, fill it out, tweet it back at us. Congratulations.
What a ride.
Congratulations. It was huge.
One
Mike,
shining process.
One shining process. Mike, enjoy the rest of your NCAA tournament watching day, and we will talk to everybody later this week. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. You know, like face.